guys, it's Dawn. Welcome back to my channel. We're just doing another quick weekly summary, weekly update, talking about how my revisions are going, how life in general is going, and I feel like I should first explain what the heck that opening clip was. So last Tuesday, I got a call from my sister-in-law, so my husband's oldest sister, asking if we could help them on Friday and Saturday to drive up to Boise, Idaho, pick up four school buses specifically, that her husband bought in an auction, and drive them back down to Utah County. I know, kind of a weird request. If you guys didn't believe I was a redneck before, now you have proof. This is my life. So of course we agreed. We're a pretty tight-knit family. We always help each other out. So Friday we drove down to Utah County because we actually live up in northern Utah. So we drove down there to meet up with them, left our daughter with her grandparents, and then we did kind of a road trip together up to Boise, Idaho. The buses were a little bit of a shenanigan. I guess they'd been in storage for a while, so when we picked them up and parked them somewhere else and made the mistake of shutting them off while we were trying to figure out our next step, 3 of the 4 buses would not start again because the batteries were bad. So we spent like an hour kind of shenaniganizing, trying to figure out how to jumpstart these buses. At first we tried it with just the Suburban we'd come up with and the, very basic jumper cables that were in the Suburban, and we actually fried those jumper cables. Like literally they started smoking and melting, and that was exciting. So we had to go buy more heavy duty jumper cables, and then we used the one bus that was starting to jump the other buses because the Suburban obviously wasn't quite strong enough. So that's what we did. So Friday was kind of a shenanigan. We managed to move the buses. We had kind of a late night, stayed in a hotel. We had more family members coming up from Utah later in the day to rendezvous because we didn't actually have enough drivers for the buses. Because obviously not everyone's comfortable driving a bus. I know I was kind of hesitant, and so was my sister-in-law. So Friday was crazy. Suffice it to say, it was really crazy. But we stayed in a hotel overnight and then trekked back down to Utah County using the back roads, just so that we could avoid heavy traffic. And there's a lot of construction on the freeway in Utah County, so we wanted to avoid that, but it made the journey a lot longer than it was on the way up. So I basically lost my whole weekend because Sunday, we weren't traveling anymore, but I was exhausted. I had church in the morning and then I just napped. So revisions were kind of abysmal last week. I did get some stuff done. I was kind of disappointed because on the actual trip to go get the buses, I thought, okay, I'm going to get a lot of revisions done in the Suburban on the way up and then on the bus on the way back, but that just didn't work out. The Suburban, I don't know if the suspension just isn't very good, but it rattled a lot, so it kind of made it difficult to write. And I couldn't take my laptop up because the battery lasts maybe an hour when you're not plugged in. So there's that. And then on the way back, I ended up having to drive one of the buses for about an hour, and then for the rest of the time I was driving the Suburban. So you can't really do revisions while you're driving, but I did a lot of brainstorming. I have some good ideas for the next few chapters, so it wasn't a total loss, but I am kind of disappointed. It's okay though, family comes first, even if sometimes you have to sacrifice some things you'd rather be doing in order to help out. So as far as where I sit with revisions right now, I am done revising the first and second chapters, and I have been trying to start the third chapter for a couple days now, but I'm just running into some roadblocks. My main issue is I don't like where I started the third chapter in the first draft, but I'm not sure where or how to start it in this go around. It's getting kind of frustrating because I keep opening Scrivener and just staring at the blinking cursor on the screen and going, so what now? It's really, really frustrating, but I'm gonna just try to crank something out today, and if it's not perfect, that's fine, but I need to get past this because I'm just holding myself up more and more. And September is not quite halfway over, but we're getting there. So I just need to buckle down and get some work done because October will come and I'm going to set this project aside and not touch it again for at least until the new year. So that's rough. Another new development, a really recent one, is I actually got a new critique partner, which I'm very, very excited about. I won't say their name or anything. I'm not sure if we're like discussing it in public. I'm not sure what the etiquette is, but I do have a new critique partner. I'm very excited, but also very nervous because I have not shared the network with anyone outside of my best friend, who I've known for years, and my husband, and then my sister-in-law. Like, no one else has set eyes on this book. No one in AuthorTube has set eyes, and I'm just scared. You know, I've made these great new friends here, and I'm really impressed by their writing. I'm scared to put my own writing out there and figure out that everyone hates it. That sounds so sad, but I think that's a very real and natural fear that most writers have. It's scary to share your writing. It's scary to get feedback. I don't know, I'm nervous. On top of that anxiety, in the last couple months, I've been having sort of an identity crisis about where my book, where my series fits in the fantasy world. For a long time, I've really identified with urban fantasy, but as I've been reading more and more urban fantasy and really enjoying it, like I still love urban fantasy, I just don't think that my book is quite in that subgenre. I just got done listening to the first Anita Blake novel on audiobook and had so much fun with it, but it really, really cemented my worries about whether or not my book is urban fantasy. So a couple weeks back, I was just doing some Googling, trying to figure out what really defines urban fantasy, and I found an article that kind of had a list of things that urban fantasy is known for, and my book had like none of them. So there was like first person narration, which I don't have, and I have 3 main characters instead of 1 on top of that. And then usually urban fantasy focuses on one major city where the main character is working out of. And then urban fantasy is really known just within the fantasy world as being the really sexy subgenre of fantasy. And I don't put sexual content in my books. I don't know what I am, so I'm not sure. Am I contemporary fantasy? Am I quasi-urban fantasy? I don't know what I am, guys. And I feel like I shouldn't be stressing out about this because it doesn't matter. But at the same time, because I'm going for traditional publishing, I feel like it kind of does matter because I need to be able to sell my book to agents. So hopefully when I do beta reading in the spring, my beta readers can kind of help me pinpoint what to, you know, define my book as, if that makes sense. But yeah, I'm just kind of lost in the sauce right now. I'm not sure where I fit in, not sure if there's a place for me in the traditional publishing world. Oy vey. So next in my update slash vlog slash whatever this is, I'm gonna go through what I've gotten at the library recently. First, we've got Interview with the Vampire by Anne Rice. This is kind of considered a classic for people in my neck of the woods, I guess. It's a dark book, you know, it's got romance, it's got intrigue, it's a new, or it was a new take on vampires, so I think it's something that I should read just for the experience and just to be well versed in, I don't know, just in the vampire world, because that is what I write. Next, we have A Dash of Style, The Art and Mystery of Punctuation by Noah Lukeman. This is intended specifically for creative writers, so I thought I would pick it up to kind of help myself spice up my sentence structure. I managed to hunt down the first book in the Mistborn trilogy by Brandon Sanderson. I think this one is called, because it just says Mistborn on the front, but it has a subtitle. What is it? Final Empire? Yeah, Mistborn: The Final Empire. So this is the first book. Very excited to read it, especially after reading Elantris and really being excited to read more by Brandon Sanderson. A lot of people will recognize this, but this is A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. I follow her on Twitter, but have never read anything by her, and everyone just goes on and on about how good this series is, so I'm gonna give it a shot. And then I've got a nonfiction book, The Coddling of the American Mind, How Good Intentions and Bad Ideas Are Setting Up a Generation for Failure by Greg Lukianoff and Jonathan Haidt. So this one I just thought was interesting because I am a millennial, but I'm kind of a weird millennial because I didn't finish college and we're a blue collar family, so we're just kind of in a weird place. So I just want to understand my generation better and maybe figure out what went wrong with like what kind of set us up for failure just as a whole, and how to maybe set up my daughter for success. And I am still trying to finish Throne of Glass. I had it in my head that I was going to do this really fun series about Throne of Glass, but I'm bored reading it, honestly. I think this is going to be my final sign that I need to take a step back from young adult fantasy and just young adult fiction in general, because I don't enjoy it as much anymore. I definitely find gems every once in a while, but overwhelmingly, I think I've just moved past like the themes and the struggles that characterize young adult fiction and young adult fantasy more specifically, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just kind of a bummer because I've noticed a lot of AuthorTube is young adult writers, and then a lot of BookTube discusses young adult fiction, and I don't want to be left out of the conversation, but then I also have to be honest with myself as a writer and as a reader about what I enjoy, and not spend time reading things that I know fairly certainly aren't necessarily going to be my cup of tea. Does that make any sense? I'm never going to be someone who bashes on young adult fiction. I think it's great. I think it's important. I don't know. It doesn't resonate with me anymore like it used to. I think I'm just at a point in my life where I desire different things from what I read, and young adults just isn't doing it for me as much. I'm still going to definitely support AuthorTubers and their books that come out as much as I can, but as far as just trying to pick up, the latest popular young adult fantasy, I don't think I'm going to do it anymore. I think this is the sign that I can't do it. Oh man. Okay, I guess that's it for this update. I really hope next week I'll have better news for you guys, but I feel like I said that last week and everything was derailed with that weird bus trip I took this weekend, so we'll see. But I really want to get some good work done and move into a world building section that I'm really excited to do, because it's not in the first draft. It's going to be something that's totally new to the second draft, and I think it'll be a lot of fun to write. Okay, thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed this random and crazy update about my weird redneck life. If you're not subscribed, of course you can. If you want to see more content from me, comment down below if you have any questions for me. I always am happy to answer. Well, have an amazing week, guys, and as always, happy writing. Bye.